Shatter the brutal, suffocating executioner's block of self-condemnation that I have built in my own mind, Lord, and violently smash the heavy gavel of guilt before it can sentence my spirit to another single second of emotional torment. I am stepping completely out of the dark, weeping prison of my yesterday and marching straight into the supreme courtroom of the Almighty, right now, fiercely declaring that the legal debt of my past errors has been totally paid in full, wiped away, and permanently cancelled by your sovereign mercy. I come before you today completely bare, stripping away the exhausting camouflage of false perfectionism and dropping the heavy mask of feigned composure, confessing that I am profoundly struggling under a crushing, devastating weight of guilt, bitter regret, and raw emotional pain from mistakes that I simply cannot change or undo. There are agonizing, haunting memories from my history that continue to press heavily down upon my chest, paralyze my potential, and relentlessly steal the life-giving peace that you designed my soul to walk in. I am thoroughly tired of acting as my own judge, jury, and torturer, tired of letting old failures dictate the boundaries of my destiny. And tonight I am radically anchoring my soul to your presence, because I desperately need an immediate, supernatural resurrection of my mental freedom. Lord, I ask you to aggressively step into the quiet, vulnerable corners of my mind, and help me to permanently stop punishing myself for the very things that you have already forgotten and washed away in the depths of your infinite love. Pour your liquid fire of divine grace over my thoughts, systematically erasing the dense shame, the heavy self-condemnation, and every single accusing, malicious voice that tries to keep my spirit tightly trapped in a loop of fear and cold hopelessness. Break the stubborn, toxic habit I have developed of continuously reopening cases that you have already dismissed at the throne of grace, and replace that exhausting internal friction with an exquisite, deep-settled calm that completely defies human logic. Let the reality that my debt is completely gone heavily surround my erratic nervous system like an impenetrable, soundproof barrier, protecting my sensitive emotions from the cruel accusations of my own memory, and bringing a profound, restorative rest to my weary heart. When the ghost of who I used to be tries to haunt my current season of growth, let your voice be the earth-shaking authority that commands those shadows to vanish forever. Father, I beg you to teach me the raw, transformative spiritual discipline of truly learning how to fully, unconditionally receive your unmerited mercy and your beautiful grace, without feeling like I have to earn it or pay penance for my existence. Renew my fractured heart from the absolute inside out today, and grant me a fierce, uncompromising inner resilience that empowers me to confidently move forward into my purpose instead of remaining permanently stuck in a swamp of regret, self-pity, and utter emotional exhaustion. Forgive me for playing the anxious architect of my own rehabilitation, for burning out my physical body trying to make up for my stumbles through human effort, and for obsessing over past choices that are already perfectly buried in the sea of your forgetfulness. Turn my eyes away from the ashes of my history, and help me to realize that the architect of the galaxies does not look at me through the lens of my scars, but through the prism of my ultimate potential. When the old familiar memories of my failures, stumbles, and character flaws violently return to hijack my focus during the quiet hours of the night, immediately shock my system with a sudden surge of holy electricity, reminding me that your unconditional love is infinitely greater, more ancient, and more absolute than any mistake I have ever made. Give me the sharp spiritual discernment to recognize the triggers of my anxiety the exact millisecond they arise, granting me the immediate authority to cast down those thoughts before they can corrupt my mood or paralyze my potential. Help me to trust, with an unbending and fierce conviction, that complete emotional healing, radical structural restoration, and a beautiful divine renewal are absolute realities for my life right now, even when the progress feels invisible to my human eyes. I refuse to live as a permanent captive to my yesterday, forever shrinking away from rooms I belong in because I feel too fragile or unworthy to occupy space. Tonight, I am stepping into a posture of offensive power, declaring that my identity is fully aligned with your limitless capacity, and that no weapon of self-deprecation has permission to prosper in my head. Tonight, with an uncompromising, deliberate, and fierce quality choice of my sovereign will, I entirely surrender every single mental burden of guilt, every creative block, and every agonizing memory directly into your omnipotent hands, utterly refusing to carry them alone for another single hour. I am making an intentional, defiant decision to actively choose an unstoppable faith over paralyzing fear, a vibrant inner wholeness over a fractured existence, and a profound, unbothered peace over chronic, exhausting worry. I break my historic covenant with chronic melancholy, emotional insulation, and the draining cycle of people-pleasing, and I step boldly into a brand new season of absolute mental freedom, emotional liberation, and spiritual authority. This is the exact moment the cycle of guilt and self-sabotage terminates in my bloodline, not because I have suddenly achieved human perfection overnight, but because the one who holds my destiny has declared that my price has been paid, my ledger is clean, and my future is completely secure in his hands. Thank you, my beautiful, constant, and fiercely loving Creator, for loving me completely, unconditionally, and relentlessly, even in the precise moments when I find it impossible to love myself or see my own value. Thank you for looking past my shaking hands, my anxious thoughts, and my past stumbles to see the resilient, unshakable pioneer you planted inside my soul, and for never giving up on the messy process of my personal evolution. I praise you because you are my ultimate safe harbor, a protective sanctuary where I do not have to perform for applause, where my smallness is never judged, and where my identity is forever insulated from the chaos of a broken world. I breathe in your fresh, revitalizing breath of life right now, letting the warmth of your favor completely soothe the friction in my nervous system, and I move out into tomorrow with my chest out, my shoulders back, and my head held high, fully alive, completely forgiven, and totally unshakable in your presence. In the mighty, matchless, and victorious name of Jesus, Amen.